You're watching the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for our second half hour of the Factor Uncensored. It's been more than 1 year since the shooting death of Shaniqua Banks. Police say Dominique Menifee shot Banks in front of her 3-year-old son. That was back in September 2023. Menifee has since been charged with her murder. Banks, along with other victims of homicides, will be honored on the National Day of Remembrance. Houston Crime Stoppers will be hosting a ceremony and this upcoming Saturday, so make sure you mark your calendars. Even if you haven't lost someone, be there to show support at their downtown headquarters from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Joining us now, Andy Kahn from Houston Crime Stoppers and Shaniqua's Banks' mother, Lisa Calloway. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
How tough of a journey has this been for you, losing your baby right here?
It has been an extremely tough journey, to the fact that I had to admit myself, because I was very suicidal, hurt, destroyed my only child, and I can't get answers. These Texas laws are a joke.
Mm-hmm.
The homicide department, if they feel like if you're not a police officer, a judge, an attorney, of someone of a higher power, you're not anything. Well, that's what they think. But baby, let me tell you, my child, she was somebody. She was my child. She was a child of God. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you black, green, white, purple, yellow, green, or whether you're African American, Chinese, Vietnamese, all laws needs to be the same. All crimes need to be treated the same, and they need to treat these parents of these children that has been murdered like we're somebody, they're somebody.
And when you had a chance to see the face of the individual involved in your daughter's murder, what was that like for you?
I have not actually seen him in person. I've just seen him from the pictures. Every time we go to court, he's afraid to come out.
Mm-hmm.
But you wasn't afraid to do the crime. So man up.
And for those who are wondering, what were the circumstances in this case with your daughter? What happened?
It was, my daughter was a very successful entrepreneur. She owned hair salon and food trucks. She had just collected her money from the food trucks and locked everything up, and it was a setup that went bad. The employee, when they did the shooting, he leaned his seat back and one of the bullets shot my daughter in the head. But it was a setup between him and the shooter. Mm-hmm. And I guess he backed out at the last minute. And how my daughter ended up getting shot is he leaned his seat back.
And Andy, what many of us don't hear and don't know in a case like this, like with Ms. Calloway, she had to undergo counseling in order to get through her daughter's murder. And a lot of people don't realize, they think people go home crying, then get their lives back on track. It's layers to it. There's a lot you have to do to get your life back on track.
Yeah, you essentially got a life sentence. I mean, Lisa no one ever wanted to be part of this organization, Parents of Murdered Children and Surviving Family Members of Homicide. So when you lose a child, particularly, in this case, Lisa's only child and a mother, you lost part of your soul, you lost your heart, and all of a sudden, and you just can't, it's hard for you to every day, because there's not a day that goes by where you don't think of your child. And particularly in Lisa's case, when we found out the offender that charged in her murder was actually on parole for aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon and then was charged with another felony and was given a PR bond. I got news for you, Isaiah. We're going to the Texas legislative next session. And I've already spoken. We're going to have a bill filed. I'm going to name it after Lisa's daughter, that if you're on parole for a violent offense, you don't get a PR bond while you're on parole. This should have never, ever happened. So Sunday, September 22nd, at Crime Stoppers, 6:30, is the National Day of Remembrance, where we pay homage and tribute to all those who lost their lives to homicide, and it's a way for families like Lisa to come together and realize they're not walking alone. Sadly, there's too many of us out there, but at least she can become part of an organization that will support her throughout her journey in the criminal justice system.
And Lisa, with our last 30 seconds, what would you like to say before we wrap it up?
I would like to say that Texas laws need to be revamped. These judges need to be held accountable for their actions, and they also need to take tests. At Texas Children, we have different modules that we have to take tests for to make sure that we're first qualified to perform the job and that we know what we're doing. It seems like once you become a judge or once you become an attorney, that's it. You don't have to go back and do any type of testing to
competency
test to make sure you know and capable of doing your job. And I will say there is a lot of them that's not able to do their job. A lot of them is just doing it for the money.
All right. We want to thank you for sharing your story and wish you the best. Obviously, you have a tough road ahead, and no one can tell you anything to make it better. But we want to thank you for at least sharing your story and helping other parents out there who may have lost. And thank you, Andy.
You bet. Public is invited to join us.
All right. Absolutely. Public invited for a day of remembrance.